Hi parents or caregivers. Today we're going to do something very special that's very important. I know you had wanted the questions based upon if your child was on the spectrum or not. Well, this is one of the tests that will let you know. It's called Ages and Stages Questionnaire. Today we're going to do the test. If you go to Google, you put on Ages and Stages 24-month questionnaire. So you can look at it as I do it with you. I'm going to go ahead and do the test with you. If you get into early steps, this will be one of the tests that they will give. Most of the professionals like speech pathologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, teachers, anyone, special ed teachers, anyone that will work with your child will take this test. So you will be prepared to know what and how it's going to be. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You may need some material, such as a spoon, such as blocks, string with beads. If you don't have that, they will have that for you, or you could skip the question and we'll take care of that. Well, first of all, there's various categories. The first one is communication. So if you have difficulty in this area, you'll most probably need to see a speech pathologist. Then we have fine motor. Fine motor, you'll need an occupational therapist to work with your child's fingers to be able to grasp small items. Then we have the growth problem solving. Problem solving is if your child has any issues in solving problems and using his imagination. The next area is gross motor. So can the child kick a ball? Things like that. So you'll need physical therapy if they're deficient in that area. As well as the final area, which is personal social, and the rest of it are just general questions. We will be scoring the test. They'll be asking you no, sometimes, or not yet, and then there's a little dash. The yes is you put the number 10 on the line. If it's sometimes, you put the number 5 on the line. If it's not yet, you put the number 0. And then you add it up and you put it at the bottom. So in this case, it's on the back, number 6. So you'll write it on the back. One moment. Okay, we are ready. First, you have to write the date ASQ completed. So today's date is the 25th, so you would write 5/25/23. Then you have the child's information, your child's first name, middle initial, a child's last name, then the child's date of birth, and the child's gender, male or female. First name of the person filling out the questionnaire, which would be the guardian, caregiver, or parent. So you write your first name, your middle initial, and your last name. Your street address with the city, state, zip code, country, the relationship to the child, whether you're the parent, grandparent, or other relative, guardian, teacher, child care provider, foster parent, or other. Then we go down to either you have a landline or you have a cell phone. Be specific what you have and write that number down. And of course your email address. Names of the people assisting in questionnaire would be me and you, so it would be 2. Now we're going to get started with the actual test questions. Here's some pointers that they recommend. On the following pages are questions about activities babies may do. Your baby may have already done some of these activities described here, and there may be some your baby has not begun doing yet. For each item, please fill in the circle that indicates whether your baby is doing the activity regularly, sometimes, or not yet. Try each activity with your baby before making a response. Make completing the questionnaire a game that is fun for your child. Make sure your child is rested and fed, and please return the questionnaire by, if possible, by Monday. Communication, question number 1. Parents, please be honest and frank about where your child is in communication. We're only going to help them get better. If we don't tell the complete truth, it's only going to affect your child and yourself. So let's get serious about this and let's answer these questions. Number 1, without you showing him, does your child point to the correct picture when you say, show me the kitty, or ask, where is the dog? She or he needs to identify only one picture correctly. So if they identify one picture, you're going to put yes, sometimes, or not yet. So if they put yes, 10 points, sometimes 5 points, not yet, 0 on the next line. Number 2, does your child imitate a 2-word sentence? For example, when you say a 2-word phrase such as mama eat, daddy play, go home, or what's this, does your child say both words back to you? Mark yes, even if her words are difficult to understand. Once again, yes, sometimes, not yet, and add up your score on that line. Which remember, yes is 10, sometimes is 5, not yet is 0. Number 3, without you giving him clues by pointing or using gestures, can your child carry out at least 3 of these kinds of directions? A, put the toy on the table. B, close the door. C, bring me a towel. D, find your coat. E, take my hand. And F, get your book. So please bubble in the correct answer. Number 4, if you point to a picture of a ball, kitty, cup, hat, etc., and ask your child, what is this? Does your child correctly name at least one picture? Number 5, does your child say 2 or 3 words that represent different ideas together, such as see dog, mommy comes home, or kitty gone? Don't count word combinations that express one idea, such as bye-bye, all gone, all right, and what's that? Please give an example of what your child's word combination is. So in the blank box, you're going to write exactly what your child says. So if your child says, mommy want play, you write that. Or daddy want juice. So I want you to write specifically what the child says. Number 6, does your child correctly use at least 2 words like me, I, mine, and you? Now this is the time when you sum up the questions, numbers 1 through 6. If they got a 10, 5, or 0, you add them up and you put the score where it says communication total. Now we're going on to gross motor, which is physical activity. Number 1, does your child walk down the stairs if you hold on to one of her hands? She may also hold on to the railing or wall. You can look for this at a store, on a playground, or at home. And once again, score yes, sometimes, or not yet. Number 2, when you show your child how to kick a large ball, does he try to kick the ball by moving his leg forward or by walking into it? If your child already kicks a ball, mark yes for this item. You see, a lot of these questions you should already know from parenting the child. So that's why it's not completely necessary to have the child present for some of these. Does your child walk either up or down at least 2 steps by herself? She may hold on to the railing or wall. Mark the points. Does your child run fairly well, stopping herself without bumping into things or following? Once again, yes, sometimes, or not yet, and bubble in the score. Number 5, does your child jump with both feet leaving the floor at the same time? Yes, sometimes, or not yet, and write in the score, please. Without holding on to anything for support, Does your child kick a ball by swinging his leg forward? And then where it says gross motor total, you write the correct score. Now flip over to the other side. This is fine motor. This you use your hands or fingers. Number 1, does your child get a spoon into his mouth right side up so that the food usually doesn't spill? Yes, sometimes, or not yet. Number 2, does your child turn the pages of a book by herself? She may turn more than one page at a time. Does your child use a turning motion with his hand while trying to turn doorknobs, wind-up toys, twist tops, or screw lids on and off jars? Number 4, does your child flip switches off and on to turn the lights on? Can he do that? Does your child stack 7 small blocks or toys on top of each other by herself? And remember, it has to be 7 blocks, not under. So they have to put them on top until they get to 7. Can your child string small items such as beads, macaroni or pasta, wagon wheels onto a string or shoelace? If you don't have the material, put NA, not available, and then add up your score. And the next time, go to the mall or shop and buy yourself a stringing bead set so you can practice. Problem solving. After watching you draw a line from the top of the paper, try to use jumbo crayons or jumbo husky pencils. So you could go ahead and make a line, horizontal or vertical, and see if your child imitates you. Number 2, after your crumb or Cheerio is dropped into a small clear bottle, does your child turn the ball upside down to dump out the crumb or the Cheerio? You could use a soda pop bottle or baby bottle. Does it turn over? Is he using problem solving skills? After a crumb or Cheerio is dropped into a small clear bottle. Number 3, does your child pretend objects are something else? For example, does your child hold a cup to his ear, pretending it's a telephone? Does she put a box on her head, pretending it is a hat? Or does she use a block or small toy to stir food? So does he pretend play? Number 3. Now number 4. Does your child put things away where they belong? For example, does he know his toys belong on the toy shelf or toy box? His blanket go on his bed and dishes go in the kitchen. Number 5. If your child wants something she cannot reach, does she find a chair or box to stand and reach it? So does she get a toy that's on the counter? Does she try to climb the chair and get her toy? And number 6 is while your child watches line up 4 objects like blocks or cars in a row, does your child copy or imitate you and line up 4 objects in a row? Once again, it has to be exact. First, mommy goes and puts the 4 blocks across, and then your child should do the same. Then you add up the total score where it says problem solving total. Personal social. Number 1, does your child drink from a cup or glass, putting it down again with little spilling? If the child is still on a bottle, please write that on the line. And write yes, sometimes, or not yet. Does your child copy the activities you do, such as wiping up a spill, or sweep, shave, or comb hair? Does your child eat with a fork? When playing with either a stuffed animal or a doll, does your child pretend to rock it, feed it, change its diapers, put it to bed, and so forth? So does your child pretend play? Number 5, does your child push a little wagon, stroller, or other toy on wheels, steering it around objects and backing out of corners if he cannot turn? Number 6, does your child call herself I or me more often than her own name? For example, I do it more often than Juanita do it. Once again, you put the personal social total on the line, sum up your scores. Now this is overall. Parents and providers may use the space below for additional comments. Try to be specific. Number 1, do you think your child hears well? If no, explain. I think my child doesn't hear well because I call his name several times and he doesn't look at me. Number 2, do you think your child talks like other toddlers her age? If no, explain. For instance, if you only understand him partially, write that in. Or say that he babbles or jargons. Number 3, can you understand most of what your child says? If no, explain. I only understand a few words. Most of his language is babbling. Number 4, do you think your child walks, runs, and climbs like other toddlers his age? Or does he fall often? Or hop often? You write yes or no in the blank and please explain. Number 5, does either parent have a family history of childhood deafness or hearing impairment? If yes, explain. Number 6, do you have any concern about your child's vision? If so, explain. Number 7, has your child had any medical problems in the last several months? For instance, your child might have croup several times, upper respiratory infections, sinusitis, or things that might have to go to the hospital for. The next one, overall. Do you have any concerns about your child's behavior? If yes, explain. If he throws a tantrum, that's normal, but if he throws a tantrum for an hour or half an hour even, that is a problem. Does anything about your child worry you? If yes, explain. If it's his behavior, write down his behavior. Now turn it to the last page. Write the child's name again, the date, and skip the ID, the date of birth, and administrating program provider. You would just put your name and Miss Nanette. Now the last and final area is scoring and transferring the information to find out what level your child is at. So for communication, the cutoff score is 25.17. If your child scores a 20, he's almost there, but he's not there yet. So he has to practice communication. So try working with him. Gross motor, 38.07. If your child is at 15, you might get a physical therapist to help him with those skills he cannot do yet. Fine motor, a 35.16. If he doesn't reach that area, then you might work with an occupational therapist they might recommend for your child. Problem solving, 29.78. If your child isn't there yet, you might want to work with a behavioral therapist that can help with the problem solving. And personal social, you could also work with your teacher. You need a 31.54, or a behavioral therapist or teacher may be able to help with this area. Then 2 is to transfer the scores. Hears well, talks like other toddlers his age, understands most of what your child says, walk, runs, and climbs like other toddlers, family history of hearing impairment, concerns about vision, any medical problems, concerns about behavior, and finally, if there are any other concerns. The last is follow-up action, and that in that area, the person who took the test with you is going to tell you what applies. So for instance, provide activities and rescreen in. If they're concerned, they might say right away, or they might tell you 3 months. So the person, what you can do is email me the test, and I will check if you scored correctly, and we'll figure out where he or she is at. Share results with primary healthcare provider. So tell your child's pediatrician of the test that he took and let him know what he or she may think. Refer for hearing, vision, or behavioral screening. So I'm going to make up my mind and decide with your information what the child may need. refer to primary health care provider or other community agency and the specific reason. Refer to early intervention or early childhood special education. No further action needs to be taken at this time, or other, please specify. Number 5 is optional, and Y is yes, sometimes N, and not yet X equals response missing. So what you can do is you go ahead on the back here, it has an 8 and 9, which I had read to you. Does your child have any child behavior issues, or do they worry about anything, which we already covered. So now basically what you do is you email me at Nanette, Nanette.Rachelli, RACHELI, the number 16 @gmail.com. So go ahead and email me if you're confused or have issues. Feel free to write the bottom at the YouTube in comments. Write whatever concern that you might have. And you may email it to me once again at Nanette.Rachelli16 @gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed this exercise, and this will give you a feel of the type of questioning that the child will need. And please, if you need me to do another age group like age 3, 4, 5 to 11, let me know and we'll get that for you. So thank you and have a wonderful day. We'll speak soon. Bye-bye.